Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This one's going to be super useful for all you first-time founders out there.
Definitely a topic a lot of founders are thinking about.
Exactly. We're diving into the world of product development. Got this awesome cheat sheet, product development cheat sheet.pdf that someone sent
Oh,
us.
yeah, this one's good.
It really gets into the nitty-gritty. And, I think there's this common misconception that you got to have a perfect product right out of the gate.
Oh, yeah, I hear that all the time.
Yeah, but this cheat sheet flips that whole idea on its head.
Totally. The build it and they will come approach is so outdated.
Right, like pouring your heart and soul into a product that ends up collecting dust in your garage.
Yeah, the cheat sheet actually warns about that. Ending up with a ton of unsold inventory. Not a good feeling.
No, not at all. So what's the alternative? What does this cheat sheet recommend?
It's a three-step process that prioritizes validation over assumptions.
Okay, I like where this is going. Validation is key.
Absolutely. And the first step is all about visualization. Visualization, before you even have a physical product.
Yep, we're talking photorealistic renderings. Think super high-quality 3D images of your product that look incredibly real.
Interesting. So even before you build anything, you're creating these visuals.
Exactly. The cheat sheet gives some examples from companies like Vincero, I think. They use these renderings to get feedback from potential customers before they even built a prototype.
So it's like getting early feedback on the look and feel of the product before you invest a ton of money in building it. That's smart.
Exactly. And it works. The cheat sheet mentions how companies use these visuals for their website, even for crowdfunding campaigns.
Wow. So you're not just getting feedback, you're building excitement and even potentially pre-selling your product. I like it.
And the cheat sheet also recommends using Upwork to find designers for these renderings.
Oh, that's a great resource. Any tips on finding the right designer on Upwork?
Remember that these visuals are your product's first impression. You want to make sure you're working with someone who can deliver high-quality work, just like you wouldn't go to a pitch meeting in sweatpants.
Good point. Okay, so I've got our visuals. We're gathering feedback. What's next?
Step 2 is all about the prototype. And here's where things get interesting. The cheat sheet is adamant about only needing one prototype.
Wait, just one, really?
One is enough. The purpose of this prototype isn't to be perfect. It's just to be functional enough for product shots, to get it in the hands of potential customers for feedback. Maybe even that crowdfunding video.
Gotcha. So it's like a minimum viable product, just enough to test the waters and get more feedback.
Exactly. There's even a company mentioned in the cheat sheet, XYZ, I think. They launched a multi-million-dollar product line using just a single prototype.
See, it works. What about local production for the prototype? The cheat sheet mentions that.
Yeah, local production can be quicker and easier, especially with the rise of maker spaces and 3D printing. Plus, it's a good way to build relationships with local manufacturers.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've nailed the visuals. We've got our prototype ready. What's the final stage?
It's all about production research, finding the right partners to bring your product to life.
Okay, this is where it gets real. And honestly, a little daunting. I wouldn't even know where to start looking for a manufacturer.
Well, the cheat sheet says to build a diverse supplier list. They actually recommend aiming for like 20 to 30 potential suppliers.
Whoa, 20 to 30. Why so many?
It's like dating, you know. You want options. You want to get a feel for different personalities, different companies.
Yeah, I like that analogy. So it's not just about finding the cheapest option, it's about finding the right fit.
Exactly. And before you even start asking for quotes, make sure you have detailed product specs ready. You need to show them that you're serious. It's like walking into a bank for a loan without a business plan.
So it's about being prepared and presenting yourself as a professional.
Right. And don't jump into quotes too early. The cheat sheet warns against that. Make sure you're super clear about your requirements.
Okay, no rushing into things. Got it.
For example, let's say your product uses a specific type of stainless steel, like 306 grade stainless steel. Make sure that's specified in the quotes you get.
Good point. No room for assumptions. It sounds like this whole process is really about being strategic and thoughtful at every stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Remember, you're not just choosing a supplier. You're choosing a partner who will be with you as your business grows. So you want to make sure it's a good fit.
That's a great way to put it. So we've visualized our product, we've built a prototype, and now we're on the hunt for the perfect production partner. Sounds like a solid roadmap for launching a successful product, but does this approach actually work?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And the answer is a resounding yes. The cheat sheet claims a 100% success rate for new product launches using this method with companies generating millions in revenue. And what's fascinating is that.
Hold on. Looks like we're just about out of time for this part of the deep dive. But don't worry, we'll be back soon to unpack those success stories and give you even more tactical advice. Stay tuned.
Can't wait. We'll be back in a flash.
All right, we're back and ready to dive into those success stories.
Yeah, these are the ones that really get you fired up.
I mean, 100% success rate, that's pretty incredible. Makes you wonder, what's the secret sauce?
Right. It's not really a secret. It's more about a mindset shift, taking the guesswork out of product development.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Walk me through this. How does this approach de-risk the whole process?
Think about it. The old way, you'd spend months, maybe even years, developing a product based on what your gut feeling.
Yeah, hoping you're right about what the market wants.
Exactly. But with this three-step process, you're constantly testing your assumptions along the way.
Ah, so you're getting feedback early and often? Course correcting before you're too far down the rabbit hole?
You got it. Those photorealistic renderings give you early feedback. Then the prototype, it gets your product in people's hands.
Yeah. And all of that before you're committed to mass production. That's huge, especially for a first-time founder.
It's like having an insurance policy against building something nobody wants.
I like that analogy. So it's not just about building a product, it's about building a business with a solid foundation.
Now, remember how we talked about this approach working for more than just physical products?
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm curious to hear more about that.
Whether you're launching a service, developing software, even writing a book, those core principles, they still apply.
Validate, refine, scale.
Exactly. Think about an online course, for example.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Instead of spending months creating the whole course, you could offer like a webinar or a workshop first.
Ah, so that's your photorealistic rendering. You're giving potential students a taste of what the full course would be like.
Exactly. Gauge interest, gather feedback, without investing a ton of time and money upfront. Then, based on that feedback, you create a prototype, maybe a condensed module or a pilot program.
So you're testing the waters, making sure there's demand before you go all in.
And just like with a physical product, you use that feedback to refine your offering and ensure it's something people truly want.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to everything. It's such a simple but powerful framework.
It's all about working smarter, not harder. And I think that resonates with everyone, no matter what they're building.
Absolutely. But you know, it's one thing to understand these principles, it's another to put them into action. Any advice for our listeners on how to get started?
First step, clarity. Figure out exactly what you're creating. A product, a service. Once you know that, you can start adapting these principles to fit your venture.
So it's about customizing the approach, not just following a one-size-fits-all solution.
And don't be afraid to get creative with your validation methods. Surveys, customer interviews, even crowdfunding. There are tons of ways to test demand and refine your offering.
I love the idea of using crowdfunding as a validation tool. It's like built-in market research.
Right. And remember, the goal isn't to be perfect right away. It's about iterating, adapting, continuously improving based on real-world feedback.
So be open to feedback. Embrace those early stumbles. They're all part of the learning process.
Exactly. You might even end up being featured in this cheat sheet as a success story someday. Imagine that.
Now that would be something. Okay, let's hear from some of those entrepreneurs who've walked the walk. What kind of inspiring tales are we diving into?
Oh, we've got stories of folks who launched million-dollar companies from their garage using this framework. People who avoided disaster by pivoting based on early feedback.
Hold on, that's incredible. To be able to change direction before it's too late, that's powerful.
Absolutely. They realize the market is always in motion. You got to be agile and adapt to stay ahead of the game.
It's a great reminder that success isn't about being rigid or stubborn, it's about being flexible.
You know, one thing I've noticed in these success stories is a deep understanding of the target audience.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, right? This whole approach is about validating demand, meeting the needs of your customers.
These entrepreneurs didn't assume they knew what people wanted. They went out and asked. Surveys, focus groups, one-on-one conversations, really getting to the heart of their customers' needs.
It's like they were treating their customers as collaborators.
Exactly. And that's a key ingredient for success. You're not just building a product, you're building a community.
That's a powerful concept. It's more than just transactions. It's about building relationships.
And, you know, these success stories didn't happen overnight. These folks put in the work, they hustled, they persevered through challenges.
It's about having faith in the process. even when things get tough.
Exactly. They probably had moments of doubt, but they kept going. They had a vision, and they were determined to make it happen.
It's inspiring to hear how they overcame those hurdles and came out stronger on the other side. It gives me hope for my own journey.
That's what I love about these stories. They remind us that anything is possible if you have the right mindset and approach and belief in yourself.
So, as we wrap up this part of the deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to remember?
Success isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Take that first step, no matter how small, and let that momentum carry you forward.
And enjoy the journey. Celebrate the wins, learn from the setbacks, keep that fire burning.
This deep dive has equipped our listeners with the tools to build something amazing. Now it's their turn to go make it happen.
We can't wait to see what they create. We'll be right back with part 3 of this deep dive. Stay tuned.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive. I'm ready for those success stories.
Buckle up. These are the ones that make you believe anything is possible.
All right, give it to me. What kind of entrepreneurial magic are we talking about here?
Imagine this. $1 million companies built from someone's garage using this exact framework.
No way, really. Straight
Yes.
from the garage to millions. It happens. And we've got even more stories about entrepreneurs who dodge bullets, you could say, by pivoting their whole business based on feedback.
Talk about a close call. Changing course before it's too late. That's incredible.
It's the power of listening to the market. These founders were in tune with what was happening. They knew when to adapt.
It's like they had a sixth sense, knowing when to hold on and when to let go. Impressive.
Now, one thing that always jumps out at me in these stories is how much these entrepreneurs understood their audience.
Makes sense, right? The whole point of this approach is validating demand, making sure you're solving a real problem for your customers.
These folks didn't just assume they knew what people wanted. They went out and asked. Surveys, focus groups, even just chatting with potential customers.
Soaking up all that valuable insight.
Exactly. They were treating their customers like partners in the process.
Collaborating to create something truly special. I love that.
And, it's not just about building a product. It's about building a community around that product. People who believe in what you're doing.
Building a tribe, a movement. That's powerful stuff.
And it all goes back to those core principles we've been talking about. Validate, refine, scale. It works.
So let's talk about the journey. I imagine these successes didn't happen overnight.
Definitely not. These entrepreneurs put in the time. They hustled. They faced challenges head on.
It's about having that grit, that determination.
They had a vision, and they weren't going to let anything stop them. They persevered.
Those are the stories that inspire me, the ones where people overcome obstacles and achieve their dreams.
It shows you that anything is possible if you have the right mindset, the right approach, and, of course, belief in yourself.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the final message you want to leave our listeners with?
Don't be afraid to take that first step, even if it's small. And remember, success is a journey, not a destination. Keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly,
Believe in yourself and your vision.
couldn't have said it better myself. Go out there and make it happen.
That's a wrap on this deep dive, everyone. We hope you're feeling inspired and ready to tackle your own product development adventures. Thanks for joining us.